All right, hello and welcome to the 20s podcast. We're a podcast for the girlies in their 20s who are seeking a life lived to the absolute fullest. We're having conversations that we're passionate about, from business, life, career, friendship, health, all the things. And I'm Olivia.
And I'm Meg.
And we're your hosts of the 20s podcast. And this is our second episode.
This is our second episode.
In the first episode, honestly, we got so much love considering how difficult it is to just do the first episode.
Yeah.
Honestly, it is so hard, and I'm not trying to be sounding like a little complainer, but when you don't do something like podcasting and then you have to start doing it, it's a whole learning curve. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I'm very humbled watching back some of our clips from the podcast, mostly because we say like and literally all the time.
All the time. But this is good. We were like, we just want to start and be okay with growing in the process of it. And so we're doing it. This is
our life.
This is number two.
This is number 2.
Here we are.
And so today we are going to try to attempt to have kind of the true vision of what we imagine this podcast being. We are imagining it being a week-to-week podcast where we basically fill our viewers in on our life a little bit, kind of share what are some of the things we're processing through, bring you along on our journey, while also having some segments that hopefully are going to guide us along the way of our conversations. And they're all kind of based and themed off things that we love and that we're talking about with our friends in our life. And so we're just hoping that it's going to help just you come along on our journey. And so that's our plan for today is to...
Yeah, we've got three different segments.
So
we've got 4 segments. We have 4 segments.
All right. So we're going to dive on into it.
Gotta get into it.
So our first segment today, we're calling it High-Low Buffalo, which this is something that we do with our friends pretty often. Basically, the whole point of it is to just quickly fill each other in on what's something good that's happened today or in your week, what's something that's been difficult. And Buffalo stands for basically something just random. So it's an opportunity for you to just share something random that's happening in your life. So we're gonna do a little high-low buffalo right now of our past week, we'll say.
Yep.
And we'll see if we might do this every podcast. We'll see.
Yeah.
So Meg,
do you want to? It takes us.
Yeah. Do you want to take it away?
Take it away. Should I go through all 3 of mine, or should we like hop back and forth? High, low, low.
Just
do all of them.
Yours. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to start with my low. My low of the last week has been insomnia. And so this has been a struggle of mine for a few years on and off. And I've had some really good seasons in the last 6 months. I feel like I got my sleep down and I now know some triggers for it, which is usually 2 things. 1, food that like sets my stomach off and hurts my stomach, and then I just can't sleep. And the second one is stress or being overwhelmed. And so this last week has kind of been a combo of both of those things. It's just been a wild few weeks.
It really has been actually crazy.
Yeah. And so my fiance Nathan and I bought a house 2 weeks ago, and we're remodeling it before we move in after we get married in June. And so we just dove headfirst into remodeling and all the things. And on top of that, we're still planning a wedding and working and
becoming married.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. And so the schedule has been very full. And I've recognized that I have hit my max capacity, probably past max capacity a little bit. And the telltale sign is I don't sleep. And then I'm awake all night and my brain is just processing. And I'm not anxious. I'm just simply, my brain is trying to catch up.
She's just thinking.
This week we are focusing on more margin and rest, slowing down, and being okay with things not getting done. So
that's so good.
Yeah, that's been the low for the week, because it can just throw things off, but I'm trying to stay encouraged about it. And then my high for the week is Saturday was such a fun day. Liv and then my sister and I, we went and picked out all my wedding decor.
Yeah, that was fun.
And so it was a fun little girls trip. We drove like 30 minutes away, but grabbed some coffee, drove there, great conversations, picked out the decor. It's always just so good
when we all get to be together.
Yeah, the 3 of us grew up together. And so we don't often get to spend just quality time, the three of us.
I think unfortunately it's been like a season of life for the past few years where we're kind of all in different spots. And so sometimes it's hard to just get quality time together. So when we do get it, it's really sweet.
Yeah. And so that was very fun. We got to do that together and then worked on some house projects and spent the night with my sister and her husband. And we bought a house 3 blocks away from them, which has been so fun and sweet and fun to just dream up of what the next season of life with them will look like. And
That's
so
good.
that was the high of the week. And then my buffalo. I'm going to leave you the buffalo that I think you're going to talk about. And then I'm going to pick a different one. Unless you...
What am I talking about?
Are you going to talk about the green curry?
Oh, I can talk about it.
Okay. But my buffalo,
the green curry.
The green curry. My buffalo, I'm going to say is I've been wanting to get like a digital handheld camera.
Oh, yes.
And I have this vision for the wedding of having guests like pass it around and take videos from their perspective and like of each other. But it came in time. It just went on sale. So I got it and my bachelorette party's this weekend. So I'm excited to have it. It was on sale for $50.
Oh, dang. That's a good deal.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to snag that
That's going to be such a cute video.
Yeah.
$50.
Yeah.
That's super worth it.
And so it'll be fun this weekend to get to use it with
a
all
little
the
test
girlies.
run.
Yep. Test
Oh,
run.
we have Meg's. I'll get to that.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Yeah.
Yep.
There's a lot going on. And honestly, I just don't think it's us though, because it seems that everyone has a lot going on right now. And I feel like it can be easy to be like, oh my goodness, we literally have so much going on. Life is it's good, but it's hard and we're so overwhelmed. But I think it's just honestly like in the spiritual realm, low key, like there's just things happening because I feel like everyone kind of is in a super similar season of life. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah, I don't know. It is a lot though. And so if you have a lot going on right now too,
You're not alone.
you're not alone. And I
see you.
We're in it with you. So
Day by day.
day by day, everybody. So yeah, my high low buffalo. Gosh, okay, also super funny thing, Meg is like a really good preparer. She's so prepared and she's got her stuff together ahead of time. And
I like have to prepare though.
this is one of my note cards today. There's literally nothing on it.
Mine are filled.
It stresses me out. And so I'm like, I don't even know why I keep looking at this because it's making me more confused because I literally have my high with nothing in it. And so anyway, so let's just think here. Okay.
This is so typical though.
No, this
you
is
do
really
better spontaneous though. So you can put it down.
Yeah, I know,
It's not helpful.
Okay, so my high, I would say, I'm starting a new career. This is a long story, but Meg and I have been working on like a historical construction project for the past year. We've been like representing an owner on the project, and I totally love it so much. And so once this project is done, I need to figure out what's next. And so there's been all these doors that have swung wide open for me to get into real estate. And so I just finished my real estate exam a week ago, or not my real estate exam. I finished my real estate course a week ago, and I'm joining a team. And today I'm actually taking my exam to become
2
a real
hours.
estate. Less than. We are taking an exam in an hour and a half, so we have to get this podcast. We got to get this podcast rolling. But I'm going to say right now it's my high, just the transition of it, because for so long I was becoming so anxious of what is next. Kind of the nature of Meg and our work has been like very project based. So once a project is done, it's like, what's the next project? And so I felt like the Lord several months ago was really teaching me to be really present and to truly let him be a leader in my life. And I feel just really encouraged by how God's led me to this point. And so that definitely just feels like a high. With that, my low is that it's not always easy. And actually, so I have my exam today, and I got my period. Meg made some chicken curry last night that wreaked havoc on all of our guts. And it was really good, like so good. But I have not
handle the
I have not
spice.
been okay. In my exam, I had to sit in a room for 3 hours and not go to the bathroom. And I know you guys aren't going to be able to pray for me because this podcast is going to be uploaded by the time this happens. But may the Lord hear our prayers that I am going to be okay.
Yeah.
But it's not Meg's fault. It was fire. It was just, we're just white
have
girls who
a lot of
don't,
spice.
we don't have a lot of spice. It's not our thing. And we're just unwell.
Yep.
And so I don't know. It's kind of one of those things of trusting that God, he's led me to this point and he's going to continue to lead me. Whatever happens to this exam, whether or not I'm in my best headspace because I'm PMSing, whether, I don't know, my stomach is good or it's not good. So it kind of feels like a low of just like the stress and everything. But at the same time, lows are good places for God to meet us. My Buffalo, we have Meg's bachelorette party this weekend, which is super exciting. So, yeah, woohoo! We are really excited. I think it's going to be such a fun weekend. Meg has such a good group of friends, and she has literally a ridiculous amount of bridesmaids, which is incredible.
Yeah.
Because we get to have all worlds collide this weekend, and I love every single one of Meg's friends so much. And it's going to be a party, and we're just so excited for it. And we also have her bachelorette party, or her bridal shower. So we just have this jam-packed weekend, and honestly, I'm super extroverted, so I'm just so excited to hang with all the girlies and celebrate Meg. And we have so many funny games planned, and we'll recap it next week.
Yeah. I don't know what to expect for some of it, but it's gonna
be really good. So anyways, that's our first segment. That's High Low Buffalo. We encourage you to do stuff like this with your friends to connect, and honestly, it's like a really great way to get the conversations flowing. So
get them started, and so you can make it as deep or as surface level as you want, but it's always a fun way to connect.
For sure. All right, segment 2. Today we thought that we would introduce this as one of our first segments because it kind of feels like something that we love doing with our friends, and we're calling this segment, well, it doesn't really have a formal name, but it's called
Things We've Been Loving. Because if you're a girly like us, we just oftentimes find ourselves just chatting about the girly things
that we love in our life. And it's oftentimes, when life is hard and you have a lot going on, that's kind of what we're experiencing right now. We have to be fixing our eyes on goodness and the little simple joys of life.
The simple joys.
So, Meg, what are things you've been loving?
The main thing Liv and I have been loving is some coffee that we've been making at home.
Yes.
This is probably crazy, but we've been coffee drinkers since college, and we've lived together for 3 years, 4 years now. Something like that. It's been a long time. We've never owned a coffee maker, which means that we've bought coffee pretty much every day of our lives.
Lord forgive us. Lord forgive us.
We always justified it of being like, we're just buying black coffee. It's not
cheap.
that big of a deal. It's only $2. But you start to add it up and it's like, wait, this is like $35 plus a week on just coffee, and it's not in the budget.
And let's be real. Were we buying black coffee every single day? No. We bought black coffee maybe 4 days of the week, and then the other few days we would buy
like $8 shaken espressos.
And we also don't have a lot of dairy because our stomachs are weak, and so next thing you know, we're dropping fat cash. And we talked about it on the first episode. Finances are something that we were in denial about for a long time, and
now we're in our budgeting era.
And it's actually crazy how much money you can save by making your coffee at home. Now I know that there's people out there that are potentially judging us. We're all doing our best. So anyways, let's talk about our at-home coffee routine. Because
tell them about the coffee you found.
Okay, so the thing is, I think we need to first preface by saying is Meg and I have high standards. It's annoying, but we're just those girls, especially when it comes to food and drinkies. We're opinionated. We know what tastes good. We just have high standards. And so we found this new coffee. It's called Fabula, and we get the Fabula dark roast, and we order it online, and they have some like really good deals when you like buy for the first time, so that you get 50% off or something like that. And It is so fire. We basically just grind the beans, and then we got this really good French press off Amazon for what?
Like $30.
It was $30. It's double insulated. It
Stainless
heats really
steel.
well. Not toxic. It doesn't have any microplastics or any of that. And we make our sweet little coffee at home. And this coffee is so smooth. And the reason why I found it was because I have a cavity problem. It's super annoying, and I literally floss every single day. I do all the things. I have better oral hygiene than probably anybody.
That's true.
But I still get cavities because I struggle to like keep the pH in my mouth balanced, which is so
Sorry, I'm laughing.
No, it's so.
All I'm thinking about is the acid mouth.
Oh my gosh. So listen to this. So my mom gave me a stack of documents that, like, so I had all kinds of health stuff when I was in high school, and I got like this upper lower GI scan in high school. And on this scan, it literally had this note that said acid mouth. What kind of, and so literally 7, 8 years later, like the doctor didn't tell me about the acid mouth. There's no hard feelings on my mother. How was she supposed to there's just this one note that says acid mouth. Imagine you having a title that says a descriptive acid mouth, and no one told me. Sure enough, I have high acid in my mouth, and I've learned so much about oral health over the past few years because I'm so sick of getting cavities, and it's a whole thing. Honestly, I could go on and on and on about oral health because I deep dived into it last year, and we'll get into it on another episode. But this coffee is low acid, so
Yes.
that's
helps
what
with the pH.
helps with the pH
in the mouth.
because coffee can be really acidic, and that can wreak a lot of havoc on us, especially when we're sipping on it all day, where like our saliva and our water helps balance the pH. And so it's a whole thing, but it's low acid, it's tested for mold, it's organic. We are those girls. You know, I wish that we weren't,
But we are.
We're
too deep in.
We're too deep in. I have too much health stuff that it's just, I just feel better this way.
Yeah.
But okay, so that's the coffee. Now here's the other thing we're going to put you on that is actually so fire.
So good.
It's not the cleanest thing in the world, but it is a better option. And it's pretty darn clean. And it is Nut Pods, okay? Nut Pods is this dairy-free creamer that's like $4, and it will change your life. What you're going to do is you're going to take the Nut Pods, you're going to put it into a little glass jar. You're going to heat it up in the microwave for 15 seconds. And I'm talking just a little tiny bit. And then you're going to take your little frother that most people have, the zzz thing, and you're going to froth up that Nut Pods, and then you're going to put that nice frothy top on the coffee, and it will change your life. You're not going to even want to go get coffee out unless it's a shaken espresso with maple syrup. Then you're going to want to get coffee out. But if you just want a warm, yummy coffee drink, Nut Pods, quick note, s'mores flavor.
The toasted marshmallow.
That's what I meant. Toasted marshmallow flavor.
Yeah. It is phenomenal.
Oh
We've been pounding it.
Oh my gosh, it is so good. And it has 0 sugar. It's
Yeah.
dairy free. It has some gums in it, but most people aren't actually that concerned about that.
Yeah. It's so good.
That's what we've been loving.
Yeah. We don't even we work from home. And so now we barely leave the house sometimes. Because we don't have to go work at a coffee shop. And we got a whole work setup now, which we never used to have. But yeah, now we can't drink black coffee
And
anywhere
it's
else.
so cheap, you guys. You can get bougie, nice coffee that isn't going to hurt your gut, and it's cheaper than getting coffee out. Isn't that shocking?
So that's what we've been loving. It's been a game changer for us.
But we got news for you,
Yes.
our listeners. We have decided that we want to do a little giveaway because we just launched and we just are getting things going, and everyone's been so supportive. And so we're going to do an Instagram giveaway where we're going to give away a bag of the Fabula coffee. We're giving away our French press maker. Not ours. We'll get you a new one.
Yeah, we're not gonna ship you walkers unless you want it.
Anyways.
No.
We're gonna ship you some Nut Pods, and there's this local potter in our area, artist. Her name's Joanna, and she makes, when I say the most beautiful coffee mugs,
It really is the most beautiful pottery I've ever seen.
we'll try to link her website in the
Show notes.
show notes. But her pottery goes for so much money because she puts so much time and effort into hand carving and spinning the most beautiful mugs. So she is giving us a set of mugs to go with our giveaway. And so to enter to the giveaway, all you have to do is go to our Instagram, and when we post the giveaway, all you need to do is tag a friend, comment, and share on your story, and you'll be entered, and we'll be giving that away next week.
Yeah. But we're so excited to give it away because we genuinely love it. And it's also one of our favorite things. It's to, like, on a Saturday morning, invite friends over for coffee and make some homemade coffee and just sit around on the couch and drink it. And so it's our hope in it, too, that it just provides a way for you to invite some friends over and connect with them and make them some really good coffee and have some nut pods. And
Yeah, for sure. We're really excited, and we hope you love it too. But we'll link everything in the show notes because we can't gatekeep all the things we're loving.
We cannot. We don't want to. It's so good.
It's
too good not to share.
It is too good. So that is our things we've been loving segment.
Segment number 2. So now this is the main segment that we have for today, which is called
The 20s Tell All. So last week we launched our podcast. It was super great, but most of our Instagram followers are from the shop that Meg and I used to own called Shop 20s, which is why this podcast is called the 20s Podcast. And with that, we had lots of customers in our DMs asking us questions that they had about us starting the podcast and stopping the store, because honestly, when we stopped the store, it was pretty abrupt and we didn't have much of an explanation for our customers. So we decided to put a question box out there for people to ask questions that they had about Shop 20s or the new podcast. So we're going to dive into the questions that we got asked the most. And there really was just a few questions that were repeated so many times.
There's really only 3 questions. They were all the same. Everyone was curious about the same 3 things. And so to start, some people were just asking, what even is Shop 20s? Because we archived our entire Instagram feed. And so if you weren't a follower back in the day when we had the shop, you would have no idea what it is. And so some people were like, what is this? Which is super fair. And so to give you a little background, Shop 20s, it was a store that Liv and I started back in 2020, and the whole goal was to encourage people to live intentionally in their 20s while also creating meaningful conversations through clothing. And so we would basically sell clothes and do drops like every 1 to 2 months with different designs and conversation starters and themes. And the whole goal was to just focus on connection and living intentionally in our 20s and starting faith-based conversations. And so that was the heart of what 20s was.
Yeah. We also had like some online downloadable devos. We had a friend that would write those for us. We had some community events, and not only was it an e-com store that we operated, but it really was this awesome community of people. And we just had the most close-knit community, which was such an honor to be a part of.
Yeah. It was cool because it was birthed in 2020, which was COVID. And so it's when everything got pushed online and people were desperately searching for community. And it was a way we were able to provide and also connect ourselves with people when we couldn't connect in person.
Yeah. So when people asked us questions, I think the number one question was, well, I'll say number 2 was, why did we close the shop?
Yeah.
So we're going to dive into just a few of the reasons why that we closed the shop, just to kind of give those followers a little insight more of what happened.
Yeah. So when we closed the shop, I feel like we were also confused ourselves with why we were closing the shop. It's hard to explain, but when we look back at that season, we really did just have this gut feeling and felt really led by the Lord that it was something we were supposed to lay down and that we were supposed to stop. And it was so hard. Like, we wrestled with it for months, where we were a lot of tears, a lot of conversations, a lot of seeking counsel and wisdom from people, but really just had this gut feeling that we were supposed to close it down and did not have the clearest insight into why that was. We had some little ideas of, like, we knew there were some things that just felt off about it that we couldn't quite put our finger on. But we also had just some open doors to some new business ventures.
Yeah,
And
that was a big reason, I
through
think.
20s, we really learned that we loved entrepreneurship and we loved development and creating things. And there was just some really incredible opportunities that presented themselves that we felt like we were being led to say yes to, and we couldn't do everything. And so it was like, it just kind of felt like with this gut feeling of closing and then also with some of these open doors, it just felt like what we were supposed to do. But through that, after I feel like a few months, we felt like we actually gained even more clarity of why we closed down. And so, do you want to kind of dive into some of those bullet points of where that came from?
For sure. I have so many bullet points written down, everybody.
Do you actually, or is it blank?
No, I don't, but I know it's up here, so I got it.
You can look at mine if you need to.
Okay,
I got it.
perfect. I think one of the biggest things looking back at Chop 20s is we actually recognize that as owners and as the true visionaries of the business, we didn't fully align in our values with the business, which is really hard. The biggest thing, well, I shouldn't even say the biggest thing. One of the things that really fell off was we didn't like the business model at all. And we didn't really plan on starting a business when we started the business, which is honestly, if you've owned a business or you have other business owners in your life, I bet a lot of them could empathize or have experienced something similar where you kind of just stumble into it. And we really did. And so basically we built this business model where we were dropping clothes every 2 months, every month.
Yeah.
And it really was this kind of fast fashion model and it was fast fashion in the sense that things were always pumping and we always had to feel this pressure to put something out there because we were even employing people and we had to like make things meet and we had to sell clothing to operate because when you scale a business, there's a ton of expenses. You have accountants and e-commerce sites that have fees that need to be paid. And not that money was like the sole motivation because God led us in so many ways, but it was just how the model was built. And Meg and I were not super passionate about e-commerce.
No.
And now knowing what we do about e-commerce, we just didn't feel as if this was like the business we really wanted to run and operate.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that we don't love clothing and retail because in fact, I would say that
We do.
we really love it. We just built a business that didn't align properly with the way that we would want to do a retail e-commerce business. And so Meg has a project development and a project management background. I love retail. I've been working in it for 6 years now. We love clothing. We're passionate about it, all the things, but that business model was not it. And so honestly, the hope even with starting the podcast is that we're strategically building a new business model that is so much more conducive with our strengths, what we're passionate about. It lines so much more ethically with what we believe in. And there's a piece about it that is so nice.
Yeah.
Because everyone has experienced in their life not living in peace over an area of their life, and it really sucks. Because the reality, there is a dark side to like the clothing retail world. And it's hard to explain because you would think that people like us who were printing clothing, that we would actually be able to see the dark side because we were the ones behind the scenes. But the reality is clothing manufacturing, like we didn't even get to see how our clothes were manufactured. They give standards, they say that it's ethical, they say that it's sustainable, but there's been so much information that's been coming out and that has come out about child labor and sex trafficking happening in these factories and manufacturing facilities. And it was we kind of got to this point of we are way too in the dark and we just don't necessarily feel like we can believe like a label that's slapped on these sweatshirts that we are purchasing if we can't actually see how they're being made with our own two eyes.
Yeah, because we weren't on the manufacturing side of things. We were
just
bought
decorating
blanks through like wholesalers, and so we only got to see like we were buying blanks from local people, and
Yeah.
they were screen printing them and embroidering them, but we couldn't see any of the steps before them.
Yeah.
And so that just started to feel really unsettling of like,
Yeah.
we just don't know. And
Yeah.
that just didn't feel great.
Yeah. So since then, it's actually crazy. We have learned so much more about clothing manufacturing and just the retail world since closing 20s, which I don't think I ever would have thought that we would learn more about it once we closed the doors. Like, I thought we would have learned all that while we were in it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy how God has opened up so many doors for us in both manufacturing and screen printing and fulfillment for us to be able to potentially step into that someday again with peace.
Yeah.
But I guess that kind of brings us to the third question that everybody was asking is, will there be clothes again? And we sit here today and we're going to let you know that our sole focus today is this podcast, getting this podcast running, learning how to be podcasters, learning how to create content in this new way. This is really all that we're focusing on right now with all that we have going on with Meg getting married and moving into a house and me starting a new career is we're focused on this podcast, but we would love someday to do clothing again. And it totally has not left our minds.
Yeah.
Like I said, we've toured facilities, we've met with people, we've done all the things during this time off that has just been led by God, honestly. But if we bring it back, it's not going to be like what it was before. And I think that may be hard for some of our loyal customers, but we hope that our customers can even understand where we're coming from and how we've been led in it. And I guess how it would be different is we wouldn't make as much clothing.
Yeah.
We would do clothing that we felt really passionate about, that we were 100% certain of, and we'd probably only drop a few times a year, I would think.
Probably would never be our main thing.
Yeah, it wouldn't be our main thing. We're never going to be just a clothing store, e-commerce store.
Yeah.
We hope to provide way more connection and value through forms of content like this, and then having clothing be just more of a supplement,
A fun
and just like a little cherry on top.
Side thing. Yeah. But we're excited even with this podcast too, of one of the things we've said from the beginning with it is that we're in process and we're all in process. And our hope and goal with the podcast is that if we ever decided to do something like bring back clothing or do a community event or things like that, that we would actually bring you along for the process and let you know of like, hey, we're going to go tour a manufacturing facility this week and we'll let you know how it went next week. And that's why we're so excited about this being a week to week podcast, is to get to just bring you along the journey of discovering what 20s is.
Yeah,
and so
totally. Because it's like we all are just figuring it out, and we want to even show you that any of you are capable of doing what we're doing or starting something, starting a business, starting a brand. Everyone's capable of it, I think. Yeah. And we just want to show you the process so that it feels clear to you too. And so you're also not in the dark of what you're purchasing. Like if you're going to buy a sweatshirt from us, we want you to know where it's made. We want you to know every single thing about it. And that brings really like a ton of excitement and peace to me.
Yeah.
So
it feels really good.
Yeah. So I think were those the main three questions?
Those were the only questions.
Yeah. There was a few like other funny little random things.
That was just our friends saying funny things. But
yeah. So that is the 20s Tell All.
Yeah. Which leads us to our final segment. Which this might be more for us than you guys, but we realized after that first episode how much we say like and it's bad. It's like maybe the girlies don't notice it, but our
boyfriends did.
They noticed and they were like, girls. And so
it was that feedback was given in a compliment sandwich.
Yes.
There was
a ton of encouragement.
A ton of encouragement with a gentle, we got to work on our filler words. Yeah. And we said,
what's the other one we say? Like, and of. Apparently I say of. Yeah. Which I don't know how to describe it, but I say of a lot. And so.
Okay. So my boyfriend, he's very observant. And
he's very observant. Yeah.
And so apparently Meg says of. We'll have to get him on the podcast to explain it sometime, because honestly, we don't
He
quite
said
understand.
he was going to send me a clip from the first one of me saying of. that tripped me up. I don't know. Apparently it's not in context.
We have to tell them, this is so funny. So we were driving somewhere with the guys on Friday, and Jacob, my boyfriend, was telling us about Meg saying of, and Meg and I were sitting in the backseat of the car.
Oh gosh.
And we were like, of?
What word is that?
What word is that? How do you spell of? Is it spelled O-V?
And
And
then
we
at the
both
same time
thought
we were
that
like,
at the same time. And
we're
then
like, it's not OF. That's
and then Meg
off.
No, and then Meg goes, is of even a word?
Yeah.
and then he goes, United States of America. And we were like,
Oh my gosh.
but we both had the same
thought
brain
process
fart at the same time.
of like OV, OF. It was trippy.
I don't know if you guys ever had that, but
Anyways, so this segment is we each prepared a question to ask each other, and we're gonna have Annie set a timer for like a minute or 2 minutes. Maybe we'll just, I don't know how long
Annie's
it'll take.
our podcast producer.
Yeah.
Hey Annie. Annie, do you want to tell the people about, want to give a fun fact about who you are?
Can they hear me right now?
We'll
Yeah.
amplify your voice.
Hey everyone, I can't even hear myself.
Oh, the noise canceling headphones.
Fun fact about me, I'm behind the camera, and my name is actually Freddie, not Annie.
Our Freddie.
Our Freddie. Back to it.
That's really good.
That was
Oh,
good.
our Freddie in the flesh.
But
We'll reveal who Freddie is one of these days.
one day, the big reveal. But we prepared a question.
Yeah.
And we're each gonna take a minute to answer the question or tell the story without saying like, or of. And so I'm gonna ask Liv first. I don't want to go first.
Shoot. Okay. So Annie, would you mind just tallying if we say like or
And then I'll tell you when.
Yeah. Oh, I have no idea what she's gonna ask
I'll
me.
start the time right after she asks the question.
Okay.
Perfect.
That sounds good.
Oh, my
Okay,
heart rate
Liv.
just literally went
I
up.
got anxious too. Okay, Liv.
Like literally my heart rate is like boom, boom, boom.
Same though. Okay. Ready. Liv, what were your top 3 highlights from your first trip to Disney World last month?
Okay, so last month we went to Disney World for the first time. It was the most incredible trip of my entire life, and it exceeded all of my expectations. Disney, if you're listening to this, my new greatest life dream is to be a Disney influencer.
Yep.
And I am so serious. I will go to work for that park, and I will make you so proud. My first favorite highlight of the trip was the Country Bear Jamboree.
Country Bear Jamboree.
Now, to anyone who is a hater, because I've realized that there are haters, I think that you need to lighten up, okay? That might be a harsh comment. But the Country Bear Jamboree was probably one of the high points of my entire life, because I felt so unified with that room.
It was
of
magical.
people. When we were singing the jams, when we were singing, oh my gosh.
We're already at a minute.
I'm already at a minute. And I didn't even say like. Oh my gosh, I'm
You
so
did it.
good. But anyways, all you need to know is the Country Bear Jamboree is the best part of Disney World. You need to go. It's the best. And then, yeah, Tron was pretty slay.
And the Dapper Dans.
And the Dapper Dans. I love the Dapper Dans. I would die to meet the Dapper Dans.
You guys
in
need to
real life.
go look at our Instagram post of the Disney one and look at Liv's reaction to the Dapper Dans because I was so happy seeing Liv, so happy seeing the Dapper Dans. But they were incredible.
They were incredible.
Far.
The one wish I had on our Disney trip was to see the Dapper Dans. That was my only expectation I had going into the day, which I felt like I had to keep my expectations nice and low so that I would have them exceeded. But the Dapper Dans was the one thing I was holding on to. And within the first 5 minutes of walking into the park, the Dapper Dans come cruising in on their trolley, and I almost passed away.
It was incredible.
And so apparently I'm a Disney adult, and I'm really good at talking, and I don't even say like or
Yeah, you crushed that.
Okay, Meg.
I'm scared. I think Liv is gonna make me tell an embarrassing story.
It's not that embarrassing, but it's kind of embarrassing story. Okay, Meg.
All right, I'm ready.
So I think it was about 4 years ago.
I know what's coming.
Meg had a pretty crazy life experience. That is a good story that the public needs to hear. And one time she went on a blind date on a Zoom call in front of 200 people. And I want her to tell the story to us today with as much detail as possible. Take it away, Meg.
Okay, my heart is actually pounding. Yes, I did indeed, about 5 years ago, go on a blind date on Zoom in front of 200 people. I did not intend for this to happen. I joined this Zoom call that was for all girls. It was a girls' night Zoom call.
It was over COVID.
Over COVID, and so you couldn't connect in person. So I was like, I need a girls' night. I said like, oh, shoot, dang it.
Winner.
Anyways, I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh, victory feels so good.
I feel like, I think that is appropriate. I was looking for a girls' night, so I joined this Zoom call. It was all about singleness in your 20s, and
it was a healthy thing.
Okay, 1 minute, I failed. It was a good thing. I was so excited for this girls group. It was being led by these two girls that I loved, and I join it, and all of a sudden I find out that they're doing matchmaking in front of everybody. Oh gosh, I said
Oh, it's okay.
It's because I'm so nervous right now.
We're in process.
Anyways, joining the Zoom call, I'm on it. I realize they're doing matchmaking, and I have this gut feeling that they're going to pick me. And there's 200 girls on it. And shortly after, I get a DM that says, hey, can we throw you on the screen to go on a blind date? I could have said no. I could have exited out. But I was kind of in an era of like,
what if I meet my husband?
Yeah. So I was like, I'm going to go for it and just do it. And they throw me on the screen. They throw this guy up on the screen. And we had to do a date for 5 minutes in front of everybody. So everyone was muted except for us. And he was preparing all these questions and asking me them. So we're like on a date in front of everybody. And it was
we have to share the
it was so
funniest
embarrassing.
part of this.
So the guy asked
This
me,
is
one of
so
his
good.
questions was, what is your celebrity, or what was the
You
question?
could go on a date with a celebrity pastor, who would it be?
Oh,
now,
yes.
God bless this man. Not a question I would ask on a date.
No,
Okay,
it was kind
if
of
you're
a weird
listening.
question.
But nonetheless, there she was in front of 200 girls.
And I had to give an answer. And at this point in my life, I was a baby Christian. I did not know really any pastors except for Louis Giglio, who is the pastor at Passion City Church.
Great man.
It was all I could think of. And so he's like 55, 60 years old. And I was like,
older. I mean,
he might be older. But I was like, my dream date would be with Louis Giglio.
And then here's the best part. Then when you said, how about you? He says,
Sadie Robertson.
which is so funny because obviously Sadie Robertson is like
the queen.
She's queen. She's like young. It makes sense. But Meg says Louis Giglio, and I don't know why I love that so much.
Yeah, it was something. So yeah, went on a date in front of 200 people.
Nothing really happened.
Happened from it. It was not meant to be, but
Meg's now happily engaged.
about
to get married
engaged.
to Nathan.
Yes, the Lord worked everything out.
But all I have to say is I'm so grateful for that experience that you had, Meg.
It was an experience.
It's one that I love hearing about every single time.
I think I have like a clip from it. I took a video.
No way.
I'm pretty sure I could find it.
I would die to see this.
And I did this by myself, and then afterwards I like came out or a day later I told Liv about it. I was like, I went on a date last night in front of 200 people. Oh gosh.
So
Anyways,
good.
okay, my heart rate is starting to come back down.
Praise God.
But that is our last segment.
And
Clearly I need some more work.
well, I think we both do, but we're in process. We're gonna figure it out, and we're gonna try to stop saying like an when we're just in real life. So hopefully, when we come onto the podcast,
This is true.
we get better.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So that concludes episode number 2.
of the 20s podcast, be sure to entered the giveaway this week on our Instagram page. And something else that we recognized is that we need people to give us some ratings on Spotify. So when people type in the 20s podcast, they actually see our podcast. So if you like listening to this episode, we'd love if you would give us a rating, a comment, and share this podcast with your friends so that when people type it in, they can see it. So we really appreciate you listening, and we will see you next Wednesday for the next episode of the 20s podcast.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.